Hi, everybody. It's Dave Kogan, Jim Feist, Big Al McMorty. It's round 2 of the NCAA tournament. It's Proline. We got a couple of really good games to look at. Cincinnati and UConn matching up in one of the round 2 battles in Kansas State, Wisconsin as well. Some tremendous offers to tell you about as well. And fortunately, things were good for us in the first round. We're going to try and keep it going. Guys, kind of fun at this time of year, isn't it? The excitement level out there. This is what college sports is all about. And this is why the basketball, to me, is better than the football, at least from a fan standpoint. All these games mean something, which they don't. In the college football bowl season, the games don't mean anything except for one. These games are tremendous, and the emotion out there with the fans and the players, you can't beat it. This is the best that sports has to offer.
I spent some time yesterday at the Wynn. And like every sports book in town, it's absolutely madness. March Madness is everywhere in Las Vegas. Every sports book, every room is full. It's impossible to get a seat in a restaurant. The next 2 weeks are just crazy here and make a lot of money for Vegas. And the screaming, the yelling, because every basket, everybody's cheering for one side or the other. And it was just unbelievable. Al, it's exciting, Dave. It really is.
It is. And the stuff I love, Al, it doesn't matter as far as the bet of the game. It didn't really matter because Morehead State was going to cover anyway. But watching the reaction of those kids when they pulled the upset against Louisville, if you don't like that, then you're dead from the neck up. That stuff's incredible.
Yeah, my only quibble with the tournament as it exists right now is I wish we could go back, 20-some years ago when we had no shot clock, because as it stands now, we have a tournament where you never have a team lower than a 3 seed winning the tournament. It's impossible now in the shot clock era. We've had one team in the past 20 years that has not been seeded first, second, or third to win, and that was Arizona in the 90s as a number 4 seed. So it's 19 out of 20 years or something like that where it's been a 1, 2, or 3 seed. I'd love to go back to the 80s where you had Villanova, you had LSU making the Final Four, you had NC State, you had these really, mediocre teams. Because of the shot clock, we're able to, or the lack of shot clock, we're able to compete with the big boys. And that's the only thing I miss, but, I'm probably in the minority here.
Well, Al, seeds notwithstanding, doesn't matter what seeds these are, you're going to have a huge game going this weekend. Second round tournament game of the year. This is big stuff.
Yeah, this is a game that I got I said if I got a certain matchup, then this would be my second round game of the year. And I got the matchup that I thought, would provide that great play. So it's only $19 and it's available right now, toll free, 866-896-1628. That's 866-896-1628. It's only one game deserves the second round game of the year, and this is it. And it's only $19, 866-896-1628.
I had a very good first round. Very happy with that, and we're going to keep it going. I've got a guaranteed under-the-hat parlay, and you can get this for $2. I beg your pardon, $5. Sorry, $5. Not $2.
That's going to make a difference, Dave.
Yeah, well, maybe it is to some people. I don't know. Bottom line is this. There are 2 monster plays, both going out as under-the-hat selections. You've heard me talk about those for years, so they're good games. Both games have to win or the rest of the tournament's free, and that would include my NCAA tournament game of the year, which is still to come. So this is a very strong combination of 2 games. It's a dynamite guaranteed parlay. It's only $5, and all you need to do is make one phone call, 1-866-841-1665, the number to call. That's 1-866-841-1665. Also want to mention that the free plays are doing very well, and expect that to continue as well. Those are a snap. All you get this back in a matter of a couple of seconds. All you do is text my name, Kogan, C-O-K-I-N, to 313131, and 10 seconds later, you'll get back that day's free play. So again, that's just text Kogan, C-O-K-I-N, to 313131. Before the show, before we started taping, I asked Jim what he was doing for the special offer this weekend, and I'll tell you what, this may be. I don't mean to go on wild on hype here. This might be the best offer I've ever heard. This is. I want you to call me for mine, and it's a good offer, but this is amazing. Go ahead, Jim. This is incredible.
Well, it is incredible. I must be on crack or something, Dave. $2 for 2 days of tournament action. It is the end of the college. But you know what? The season's been great. The customers have been great. Why not? It's kind of a celebration thing. 2 days of tournament action, executive plays both Saturday and Sunday. Saturday and Sunday games, guys. Round 2. That's what this is. And it means winners $2, 2 grocery dollars. I'm not talking about 200 or 2,000. I'm talking about 2 small grocery dollars. You get the weekend by just calling 1-866-841-1655. Plop down your $2, and you're going to get a Saturday high roller of $500 value completely free as a bonus. $2 gets you 2 days and the high roller, 2 small grocery dollars. Make the call 1-866-841-1655. And like Dave said about free plays, if you text WINNER, WINNER, to 313131, we'll send you free plays each and every day right to your cell phone.
All right, let's talk about some games. And we've got a Big East matchup, which kind of figures you're going to have some of these because there's so many Big East teams got into this tournament. And conference looks good so far, by the way. Cincinnati and Connecticut will meet. They met during the regular season. Connecticut beat them. Both teams rolling pretty well right now. The Huskies, they're hot. 5 wins in 5 days in the Big East. They just slaughtered Bucknell in round 1. And you know what? That's not that awful a Bucknell team. And Connecticut they took them to the woodshed. That was a wipeout. Cincinnati didn't have any problem in their game as well. Missouri was a flawed team, but they're still pretty good. And it was no contest. The Bearcats were clearly the better basketball team from the opening tip in that matchup. Now, this is a good basketball game between teams that know each other. A lot of conference pride on the line here. Because they're conference rivals. And can Cincinnati cool off this hot Connecticut team?
I was a bit surprised when the point spread came out on this game. I would have favored Connecticut by 1.5 points. It opened -3. It's even gone as high as -3.5 at Pinnacle and Bet Phoenix. And regardless of which team wins this game, Steve Fisher's San Diego Aztecs are going to be in for a battle next week in Anaheim. But as far as this game goes, if the line settles at 3.5, I think the Bearcats have to be a look at that price. If you take a look at how matchups go between the number 3 and 6 seeds in the second round of the tournament, they've generally been won by the underdog, including 71.4% of the time when the line is 3.5 or higher, and for no other reason than just being a value play. At 3.5 or higher, you've got to look at the Bearcats here, Dave.
God, Connecticut look right now like a Final Four team, but the problem is it only takes one game where you fall a little bit short of that plateau and you're out. And I got to tell you straight out, I took Bucknell plus the points. Now, I didn't lose too many games in round 1. I did very well, but I did lose that game. I had Bucknell. Obviously, was never in it because I thought this team's going to have a dead spot coming out of that Big East tournament, winning it as an underdog, moving way up in the seeding in the process. Maybe that letdown, and I'm not saying they go totally flat, but just a little bit of an edge comes off here because they're playing a team they already beat this year, and there could be a feeling here that, well, we know we can handle these guys. I think maybe they still have the carryover and still maintain their high coming out of the Big East tournament against Bucknell, and maybe read the press clippings. Don't take any chances. It's a good little team they're playing. I think Cincinnati's going to give them everything they want here. The question of the Bearcats it's always the same question. Can they shoot the basketball well enough to stay in? They're kind of similar to like West Virginia in that area. If they're shooting it well, the rest of their game is good enough so they can play with anybody. If they're not shooting it well, then they got real problems, and they don't seem to be able to compensate for that. I think they'll have a decent day here, and I'm leaning toward the Cincinnati side. Jim, this one won't be a big play for me, but I do like the Bearcats a little bit.
Well, I can understand people leaning to the Bearcats here. First of all, you got the revenge situation coming off. I mean, this is kind of early for teams in the same conference to be playing in a game. Usually that waits till 16, but this is early. This is kind of they shouldn't have put them together because you got two similar teams of the same conference playing. One of the things about the Bearcats, they're great on defense, but they do struggle occasionally on offense. Now they had a big day against Missouri, but Missouri's not known that well for the defensive proficiencies either. But you get Cincinnati sometimes, they'll fall off and they'll score in the 50s and they'll score in the 60s. It's hard to hold this Connecticut team down. And let's take a look at some of the stats. UConn's 14 in the country in RPI. Cincinnati's 32. Now, they play in the same conference, by the way. Well, that has to do with who they played out of conference as well. And schedule strength. Cincinnati is number 7 in schedule strength, which is very high. But Cincinnati's number 84. Now, they both have kind of similar records, 26-8 for Cincinnati, 27-9 for UConn. But take a look at this. Against the top 50 RPI schools, Cincinnati was 6-8. That's straight up, of course. Now, UConn was 12-8. So, they played a tougher schedule. They got a higher RPI. They've played better against the top 50. That's why they're favored. And when you look at their last 6 games, which they've won and covered every one of them, I put a rating on each game, mathematical rating. The lowest they did was a 91.6. The highest was yesterday against Bucknell, which was kind of overmatched, 108.2. Cincinnati, on the other hand, have had a couple of games that were pretty darn good, too, in the hundreds, but they all fall off in the 50s and in the 70s. They're not as consistent. But they do have revenge. It's the two teams that play in the same conference. It's a tough game to call, Dave.
I think it is. Let's look at another game. And this is I'll brag a little bit here. I like Wisconsin against Belmont because it's what I said. If you watched the earlier editions of Proline this week, I said, look, Belmont's a team that thrives on turning the other team over and getting into transition. The problem is Wisconsin never turns the ball over. They're the best team in the nation in offensive efficiency as far as turnovers is concerned, and that was the problem. It was a bad matchup for Belmont. Too bad for them because that's a good team, but the Wisconsin team, well, we're going to see the same thing here. Kansas State, a physical basketball team. They want to create havoc. That's how they get things going. They're really not a very good offensive team. They have to key their offense on forcing the other team into mistakes. I'm going to tell you something. Wisconsin is going to be on my ticket tomorrow. I don't know exactly how high I'll rate them, but I am going to play Wisconsin in this basketball game. I think Kansas State's an excellent matchup for them. I know Wisconsin isn't as physical as Kansas State. Kansas State, by the way, let's call it what it is with Kansas State. No offense to fans of the Wildcats. They're the dirtiest team in college basketball. Flat out dirty basketball team. If you watch the end of that game, that round 1 game against Utah State, that Magruder should have been thrown out of the game. That was as cheap a shot as you'll see in college basketball. He actually drew blood and put the other kid out of the game. That's their style. I mean, Frank Martin doesn't make any bones about it. I'm not sure that style works against the Wisconsin team that's tough themselves. They don't play that style, but believe me, I think they can handle it. If you get through the Big Ten, they battle each other. The Big Ten's not a finesse conference, okay? I think Wisconsin will play a similar game to what we saw to them in Game 1. They won't turn the ball over. They won't make mistakes. And unless they have a really bad shooting day, I think they're advancing to the Sweet 16. Al, how about your thoughts on this one?
Well, I was right there with you with Wisconsin over Belmont. Belmont was a team that I thought might be an interesting take in the first round, depending on the matchup and the point spread, of course. And, when the line came out, there was just no value with Belmont. The line was way too low. And so Wisconsin was, pretty much a gift at -4 points. And, that's kind of my reaction with this game against Kansas State as well. You look at the number, the Badgers have opened up as a 2 or 2.5 point favorite. And according to my numbers, that's a bit too low. I think everyone is selling these Wisconsin Badgers short. But they're the second most efficient team on offense in the country. Well, Kansas State ranks 28th on defense, so that's really the matchup there is, how's Wisconsin's incredible offense going to do against Kansas State's very good defense. But I just think Wisconsin has the edge. And, I think at this price, if you can get Wisconsin -2, I think Wisconsin's the side.
Jim, is Zeus offering a dissenting opinion, or is he agreeing with our analysis? I hear him in the background.
Well, Zeus sort of leans towards the dogs. You might have guessed that, right? I'm not so sure about this game. I'm not saying I'm going to go with the other side, but I think this is a pretty good matchup, and I agree with you about dirty play. I mean, that does come into play here, but I think this is a very even matchup, and I'm not. Al, you think the spread should be higher? I kind of think it's about right. I think we're going to get down to one of those buzzer beaters again. Somebody hits a foul shot and somebody hits a 3-pointer or something like that at the end. This is going to be a close game.
All right. Yeah.
Now, surprisingly though, Dave, you would think that these teams, the way they play, and everybody thinks about Wisconsin as being a low-scoring team, but they have gone over now. Let's see, 7 out of the last 9 games, 4 out of the last 5. Pretty similar to Kansas State, and the number on the game isn't all that high, 127. You might be looking at an overplay. The lines apparently are too low for both of these clubs. They have been going over a lot, about 90% of the time lately.
Yeah, they have. Look, I think both teams. I don't think it's going to be a game where we see these teams standing around and eating up shot clock. I mean, if it stays under, it means they just beat the crap out of each other, which you could see. But I think both teams will try and get out and move the ball up and down the court. You're at this level. You want to get baskets in transition if you can. Force the other team into situations where they got to foul you. So, if this game, I haven't really looked hard at the total of this game, but that might be something to consider.
I'm trying to figure out. Wisconsin's got a pretty decent offense, and I'm trying to figure out how they scored 33 points against Penn State. I mean, that had to be. You don't need a shot clock anymore if they're going to play like that. I mean, that goes back to the old days when you hold the ball and take a shot every 3 minutes.
That was a rather ugly basketball game, to put it mildly. All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about what we've got again for the offers this weekend, and if we've got a best bet out of the two we talked about. I'll throw mine in. I think Wisconsin, of the 2 games we talked about, I like Wisconsin the best. But if you want to score this weekend, get this guaranteed parlay. 2 under-the-hat releases, $5 is the cost. Both games have to get there, or you get the rest of the tournament free, including my NCAA tournament game of the year. I think that's a really strong offer. Take advantage of it now at 1-866-841-1665. That's 1-866-841-1665. Big Al, second round tournament game of the year. And of these 2 we talked about, got one that you prefer?
Yeah, I definitely prefer Cincinnati, provided I can get 3.5 points. And my second round game of the year goes Saturday, and it's out of a system that is 19-1 against the spread going back to 1991. And it's only $19, so you got a lot of 1s and 9s in this promotion here. And it's $19, and it's my second round game of the year, and it's 866-896-1628 out of a 95% system that's lost just once in 21 years. 866-896-1628, my second round game of the year.
Did you, of the 2 games you talked, did you list one as one that you preferred?
Yeah, no, I like Cincinnati plus the 3.5 or better.
All right, Jim, how about you? I'm not sure which one you like of these 2 games, but I do know that what you really like this weekend is this guaranteed offer. That's for sure.
Well, what I like is I like sports, but what I like more collecting money. And yesterday 6-2 made me a lot of money, made my customers a lot of money. So I'm pretty excited about that. As far as the games that we talked about, I'm going to go with the over on the Kansas State Wisconsin game. Surprisingly, these two teams are scoring a lot of points. I think the number's too low at 127. I'm going over that total as my best bet right here on the show. And I think your best bet for the weekend is $2 out of your pocket, folks. You get 2 big days, Saturday and Sunday. That's pretty damn exciting for me. I mean, all these games are going to be great. Second round action, executive service plays, both Saturday and Sunday for $2. You make the call 1-866-841-1655, and I'll throw in a Saturday high roller, a $500 value, completely free as a bonus. $2 for 2 days, and the high roller, 1-866-841-1655.
There's nothing that makes these tournaments more fun than cashing winning tickets. I can tell you, it adds to your enjoyment. So take advantage of the offers that we talked about today. I mean, if you take advantage of all 3 offers, you're spending a total of $26, and you're going to pick up some winners. I can guarantee you that. You'll really have fun this weekend. We won't be on Sunday, but we will be back on Monday. We're taking a look at, I believe, the Celtics-Knicks game in the NBA. So enjoy the weekend, everybody. Have fun. Make some money. For Big Al and Jim, I'm Dave. See you on Monday.